Hey guys, you're watching me as New Pair of Glasses, and today we are going to decode the movie Snowpiercer. Because once you understand the truth about the electromagnetic changeover plasma catastrophe that has happened in history before and is going to happen again, and the progression of events that occur before and after the catastrophe, you will start to see this in science fiction movies everywhere. But you're going to hear a real decoding with real answers, not the stuff you get from the controllers or other, quote, decoding channels. This is what you really need to know, and this is the truth about what is being shown to you. Now, in this video, there are spoilers, so if you have not seen the movie, please stop the video now. First, I want to point out that it's interesting that they use a train that they refer to as the arc, because knowing that electricity and technology is actually what makes the destruction of the plasma catastrophe to the point that it is, but that it's necessary now for the system to survive, so there's no just putting a stop to it immediately. It's like a runaway train. You can't get off, you can't escape, and the technology and electricity are literally leading us to humanity's destruction. Now, they start the video off showing chemtrails, and that is symbolic of the chemtrails having something to do with either trying to minimize the catastrophe or make it happen. But either way, the chemtrails have something to do with the coming catastrophe. The main character of the movie, his name is Curtis. Curtis is very similar to Christ, as he plays the savior figure, and this is a story about the savior. Now, Edgar, his friend, makes a comment early in the video saying, "These bastards think they own us." Now, that is actually true. If you go back to my video, "Your Mama Sold You Into Slavery," they're referencing the fact that they actually do own you. And then they show you how they control the population with police, with weapons, and fear. That is how they keep the population in check. And with the revolution that's going to come in this movie, what they are showing you is that once people realize that something is wrong, when it becomes clear that there is something wrong, even though people won't know what it is, when they see the signs, people will revolt and people will lose it. So that is coming before the actual catastrophe hits. Now, when they show you the food that is provided for the tail end people, they call it a protein block. That is representative of the overimportance the controllers have put on our need for protein and how they have pushed it on the population, even though we don't need nearly as much as they say that we do. They also reference that all the past revolutions have failed because they haven't taken the engine. And what they are referring to is that all revolutions have failed because they haven't rooted out the real controllers. When the guards come and take children from the parents of the people in the tail car, what they are showing you is that you do not own your children and they can take them at any time. Now, when Curtis says that there are no bullets left in the guns, what they are showing you is two things. One, that they rule the population way more with fear than they actually do with violence. And two, that eventually, even if people do get guns through the catastrophe, the bullets will run out before and after. Now, when they get to the prison train car, they're showing you the progression of yet another way that they can control an enslaved population, and that is by imprisoning them and using them for slave labor. Next, they tell you what is in your drugs, and not just in street drugs, people, in your prescription medication. They call it industrial waste. But did you know that all prescription medication is filled with petroleum byproducts? Whenever they have too much waste and they don't know what to do with it, they find ways to cycle it back into the population and profit off of it. And then we have, yet again, another strategic placement of smoking in a video. If you reference back to my smoking video I did on tobacco, I talked about this. Now, here we have an essential person to the revolution. One of the only humans on this train that is truly awake and actually sees and knows what's going on is a smoker. So as we continue on the progression of signs and symbolism that this movie shows us, they're showing you what's in your food, people. It's absolute disgusting crap. That is what they feed you, and they show you the truth here. As they get to the next train car that's filled with men in black with hatchets, what they are showing you is the catastrophe, that what awaits humanity is nothing but death. Then they pull out the fish, which is symbolic of Christ, the ichthy, and as they take the hatchet to gut the fish, they are showing you the centurion spearing and torture of Christ. So what they are also symbolically showing you in this part is that it happens on Christmas. And when you see the lead character, Curtis, slip and fall on the fish, they are showing you that this catastrophe, this death, falls on Christmas. It's also representative of the fall of man. The Savior, or the Son, S-O-N, or as all vowels are interchangeable, S-U-N, the Savior falls. And what they worship is the actual sun, the S-U-N, sun. Next, all the men in black stop and count down to New Year's. That is representative of Hell Week, that between Christmas and New Year's is when all the destruction happens, and they represent that here by counting down to New Year's, and then they cheer because the destruction will be over with. Now, something important to note, that in this movie for 17 years, everything on the track was smooth. But all of a sudden on Christmas is when they hit the icebergs on the track. That is representative of life going smoothly up until November before the catastrophe. And just a note, Black Friday, where everybody loses their mind because they're trying to buy stuff in stores, that is representative of by Thanksgiving, when people realize something is wrong, everybody will go nuts over it. And when the lights go out and they pass through the tunnel, what they are showing you is that is going to be the 3 days of darkness when there is no sun. And Mason, the female evil character, states that approximately 74% of them will have to die. That is representative of the amount of people, although it will be much higher than that considering the time that has passed since the last catastrophe that will die during that time. And when the train car passengers bring on the fire, what that is representative of is the fires that'll be started from the plasma grounding and striking the ground. Now this next part is for the low-level controllers, Dave, Bob, ODD, and anyone else knowingly participating in the deception. The controllers are showing you here by one of the rebels taking one of the security guards and holding a knife to his throat and telling them to surrender. And when the security guard looks at Mason and says, "Surrender or he's going to slice my throat," she looks at him and shrugs her shoulders. They are telling you that the controllers don't care who they have to sacrifice. They're not helping you. They're not taking you with them. They're going to sacrifice you just like anyone else. So the rebel slices his throat. The next part, they show you that during this fight, that Curtis has a chance to save his friend, but he also sees that Mason has a knife in her leg and is down. He sees the opportunity to go take her prisoner, knowing that is the only way he will go any further and the only way they will live. So he has a choice to make, and he chooses to go capture Mason. So Edgar dies, and what they are showing you is that all your loved ones are not going to make it through this, that you're going to have to make some hard decisions if you are going to survive. After they make it through the destruction that they represent with the icebergs on the train track, then they show you that after the catastrophe comes the golden age. Then they show you the water-filled dome that covers our heads. And they show you that you will be able to see everything due to the change in direction of light. You'll be able to see what has not been able to be seen through the blue sky under the red sky. Mason states they are lucky to be able to have sushi, as it is only served on 2 dates, January and July, representative of when you'll be able to eat again, because those 2 dates are the only times that the electromagnetic catastrophes can happen. In December is blue sky to red sky, and in July is red sky to blue sky. Next, Mason says that they live in an enclosed ecological system and that the population must keep a balance so that they have enough resources to sustain them. What she is referring to is that our dome is an enclosed ecological system that they want to keep a harmonious balance with to sustain the population. How can our true history have been hidden so well? How could people not know the truth about these prior catastrophes and civilizations? They show you here. They do it with indoctrination in schools while kids are young. When the teacher is teaching them about Wilfred, she references the train as an ark, and that he knew that something was coming, that the earth was going to be frozen due to the chemtrails. So he put everything he could into the train, and how everybody teased him and made fun of him for doing that. That is a biblical reference to Noah's Ark. The scene where they bring out the eggs is representative of Easter. That will be the time when the earth will finally start to grow things again after the catastrophe, and people will be able to finally eat food grown from the earth. The scene where one of the train's security guards tries to shoot through the glass to kill Curtis and the other rebels, they show you that he can't kill them through the glass. They're showing you the impenetrable nature of the dome, that nothing can get through the EM field while it is still active. When Curtis makes it finally to Wilfred's door, he breaks down and tells a story about how he almost ate Edgar when he was a baby due to starvation. They're pointing to cannibalism, and that some people, due to lack of food after the catastrophe, will resort to cannibalism. Also stating he knows what babies taste like, which is something that the elites do. If you want to get into the club, there's a lot of things you need to do, and one of them is to eat babies. When Curtis finally meets Wilfred, Wilfred states that they are all prisoners on that train, including him, meaning that even the controllers are prisoners to our enclosed ecological system. And he confesses that they have been responsible for pitting all groups against each other as a way of population control to make sure they have resources to sustain humanity. When Curtis finds out that Gilliam, his beloved teacher, betrayed him, what they are showing you is that you cannot even trust the people around you, that they will be the biggest betrayers. And as the partygoers revolt, what they are showing you is just like in the Matrix, the people you are trying to free from the system will fight to defend it. And Curtis finds out that in the end, despite all his efforts to fight what is coming, that all he has done is played into the hands of Wilfred and his agenda, meaning that there's nothing that Curtis or any other savior can do to stop what is coming. As Wilfred takes Curtis inside of the engine, they show you the dome inside of a dome inside of a dome. And Wilfred says the engine is like eternity itself, referencing the eternal nature of the catastrophes and the rebuilding that has happened time and time again over eons. And when Curtis finally learns what fuels the train, or the system, and that it's the children fuel the system, and as Wilfred states that the lower class gives a steady supply of them, and they're so brainwashed they don't know how to do anything other, he makes the decision to sacrifice his arm to free the child. Just like the story of Christ, he sacrifices himself as well to free the people on the train. So finally, what they point out is this, is as a catastrophe of the train car happens, they show you how clueless the population is going to be when it actually happens. So take this time to learn the progression of events that happen before and after the catastrophe and know it well, and you will start to see it being told everywhere, in movies, songs, and everywhere else. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you for watching this decoding video. I hope you all stay safe, be good to one another, and as always, God bless.